everybody. Welcome to Badge Banter, where we feature some amazing stories from some of our incredible partners about the importance of the photo ID badge as the foundation of an organization's overall security efforts. I'm Lindsay Martinez from Badge Pass, and today we're joined by a very special guest, Guy Grace from Asa Abloy. Thank you so much for being here, Guy.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today.
Well, we're excited to have you. So prior to Asa Abloy, you worked as a director of security in K-12 schools for over 30 years. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in that and what you do at Asa Abloy now?
I started in the late 1980s in school safety after I had left the United States military and was looking for a career and what I wanted to do from my security experience in the military. And when I was going to college, I explored different security options because I was in military police before. And I obviously would gravitate towards a field that you would. So I looked at security, but I remember applying for a position, and the first place I got put into was a K through 12 facility. My first day, no training, no nothing. And in fact, on that first day, I had a major, what could have been a major incident happen was gang violence or potential for it. So I de-escalated the situation what was going on at that dance and that after hours activity. And I remember shaking afterwards, but then I go to myself, wow, this is something I could look and be into K through 12 safety and security. So the next day I was promoted to oversee the K through 12 operations from the private security group I worked for, and I did the after school activities for the contracts that we had for 3 school districts in that region. And I found that I enjoyed doing it, coordinating the safety and security for these events, the sporting events, football games, volleyball games, whatever, basketball, and all those events. And I just loved it. However, obviously, we all know in many cases, especially in those days and age when you worked in private security, it wasn't a whole lot of money that you could make from that to take care of yourself and especially complete your college program. So I looked and I said, I'm going to apply for the school districts directly. So I applied for a position in Littleton, Colorado, and I was able to obtain that position. And I started out as a security officer, and in 2 or 3 years, I was the supervisor. And then a lot changed with the Columbine tragedy in my community in 1999, a very dramatic and sad tragedy, and became the security director of that school district. And I did that till the end of 2020. And so we're looking at 33 years of being in K through 12. And when I came into this, K through 12 is a passion for me. The people, the students, the staff, the communities, we look at that. They're so important to our society because what we're doing is we're empowering the teachers to teach, the students to learn, but also many of us, like I'm a parent as well. I have 2 students still in K through 12, and almost everybody has a vested interest with their children and their loved ones teaching and learning in schools. So when the opportunity came to work for Asa Abloy, I also believe that our topic here, there are many components in school safety, but one of those, probably one of the most important components when we're talking physical safety and security is access control. And when we're talking access control, that also includes badges. Mm-hmm. And those are so important to, identification and other measures that schools that have been doing for many years. It's a leading practice, what we're going to talk about here today. So I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to work for Asa Abloy. I'm just honored to have the opportunity to share from my experiences and experiences of others.
Well, what a cool story. Thank you for sharing that with us. I get so excited when I hear people that are really passionate about K through 12 schools. Anyone who's ever met me or has watched a Badge Banter knows that I have a lot of passion for that market. I mean, I'm a parent too, so I get it. You send your kids to school every day and you want to make sure that they're safe and having a good experience. And I think that one of the things we love working with schools at Badge Pass is like you really feel like you're making an impact when you get to help them with their ID and security efforts. So I just think that's neat. So let's talk about that. Let's kind of dive into it. And obviously, you come from great experience in that market as it relates to the ID badge and everything else that a school has going on, because it's a lot. If you're a security director at a school, you're dealing with a lot more than just the access control for sure. But that's a component to it, and just one of many layers. How important is that visual security element that a photo ID badge provides in the K through 12 market specifically?
Well, we live in a day and age that there are incidents or, that can happen in your school district or happen in other places. And what we learned, especially after Columbine and the other situations that we dealt with our community, was there was a tightening of the security at the time in the aftermath to secure the exteriors of the buildings and improve the safety and security inside the buildings. And one of the simplest methods that we determined was the ability to determine who a staff member is, who a volunteer is, and how do you do that? So our leading practice was providing badges and identification pieces or credentials to our employees and our volunteers while they were in the school. Well, what does that do? Well, that's so important because number one, if a kid's walking through a school, right, and they're going from class to class and they're transitioning, if they see somebody that, especially in this day and age where the media, they hear and see a lot of different things on the news, and it creates fear, right? But when you see an employee or somebody you're not so sure about who they are, and they have that credential marked with their picture, the school emblem, the logos, and you teach the kids in your emergency preparedness program to look for that. And if, like we would tell kids too, over time, if you see somebody that's not wearing a badge, that's an adult, right, and it's not a student, and you don't know who they are, so not go up there and confront them, but go to let your teacher know. And I can tell you that, and through my career, many times, well, thankfully, it was innocent, like somebody didn't wear their badge, like a guest or a substitute teacher. Well, when we heard about it, we made sure that was immediately filled. But what did that do? That enhanced your safety and security inside with just a simple method. Staff members walking through there, seeing somebody without a badge, like that could be very shocking to them. Like say a maintenance personnel. I'm going to work on the chillers at the school, and he or she didn't wear their badge, right? They're not from the school may not be totally familiar with them. The front office is, but what that does is that happened all the time. You would have like the staff members would say, "Hey, I just saw somebody walking in the school without a badge," and okay, so what that does, it prompts myself, school resource officers, and others to investigate that. But what that has done is created an extra security component of detection. And detection when we look at humans is very good. It's like they're detecting an anomaly. We're not counting on that. We're counting on people to look and see, they see somebody that's out of place. Well, being out of place is I don't have my badge. Now we hear from folks too, like, well, somebody can get a badge and create a badge and blend in with the organization by doing so. But there are other ways as we learn to change the badges up on a routine basis and just recycle the color codes. And for example, on guests coming into the building, we would redo the color code every day when we did a badge, for example, a temporary badge pass, a new color code for the day. And that would be communicated. So what that does is this gives you a flexibility of using that visual layer of the human empowerment piece. That's just even more important than a video management system and other safety and security measures, because you're empowering your people to be part of your security system.
Oh my goodness. So many things you just said. I feel like I say all the time. I'm so excited. I love that. And I think that a mistake that people make is when we say implementing visual ID is a piece or the foundation of an organization's security and the importance of visual ID, it doesn't end there. Like, you don't just implement the system and people wear badges and it's perfect. It has to go hand in hand with the school district or any other vertical, really, having a policy in place and helping educate their team members on why that's important and their students, and having everybody feel like they're a part of that, because it is empowering. When you're a teacher and you have a lot going on, I mean, like, you're dealing with a lot of things I'm glad I don't deal with on a daily basis, and you see someone in the school and you're like, should I approach them or not? If you know it's part of like your school security efforts and why that's important that you bring it up, if you see someone not wearing a badge, then you're more empowered to say something, take action, do something about it, rather than just let it go, or say nothing. But they have to go hand in hand. Anytime we're like, just implement this and it'll fix your problems, it won't without the right processes and procedures behind it.
Exactly. And we hear all the discussion about everybody wanting to go to different types of credentials, but I'm just going to say we cannot, it would be illogical. I'm going to sound like Spock here. Okay. It would be illogical for K through 12 to do away with that visualization component that we have utilized for many, many years now. And again, as you said, district roles and policies and procedures can enhance that program. And that is one of your simplest measures, proactive measures that you can implement as a K through 12 school district, is that badging and visualization piece.
I love that. And so let's hit that point that you just brought up for me, though. You said it would be not logical to do away with the visual ID in the K through 12 market. What's your thoughts on mobile credentials and physical badges, and how mobile credentials could potentially supplement physical ID in that market in particular?
Oh, here we go. That is an awesome question. Now, I work with dress companies, for example, that do what I mean by dress, wearable pendants, for example. When we look at building these pendants, and we're seeing that in legislation, the school districts are being required to have dress systems, and in some cases having wearable pendants. Well, that wearable pendant will also be an access control credential. And so when we look at that, we're saying since that's going to be there just like the ID card was on that wearable pendant, for example, that dress pendant, you still need to have the picture, because that component of safety and security on that badge has been so important, and it's one of the most important pieces, as we said before, to implement. So that's one area. That's about, and why I say that is mobile credentials for K through 12, when we look at it and analyze it, is really going to be a first responder piece. And the reason we say that is most school districts have a cell phone policy, another endeavor, for example. And when you're going through a school and the cell phone can be a part of the culture, but in most cases it's not part of the culture. And there's also other problems that happen with cell phones for staff as well. Is number one, they're not given stipends to you can't tell a teacher that you're going to have to use your cell phone if they're not being compensated for that cell phone to get into the room. However, mobile credentials on the first responder side, or the responders from the outside, is so darn logical. Okay. Facilitating that access for those officers and fire officials, medical officials, to get there and get there quickly and efficiently. But when we look at the access control side inside the school, the badge is so important to establish who belongs in the school. So even if you do have a new type of a credential, there is going to be a badge a part of that credential. The logic is there's no way, unless we get into something like, here I am with my science fiction here to go. We have a hologram as you're walking through that projects out in front of you. That's not going to happen. That point is, the case is, we need to know who that person is and have that visualization. And also, again, when you look at visitor management, okay, what is that? When we have visitor management systems, what are they doing? They're printing out a facial image of that person and giving a time and place where they're going on that badge. So that's a leading practice or best practice on those systems as well. So you can't replace that. There's nothing that can replace that component right now. So mobile credentials are supplement. Uh, Access, key access. Even if you are only using keys in your schools, you're going to have a badge. Does that make
Yep.
sense? The
Yep.
badge is a leading practice for K through 12. It is a main security component in the access control layer and
I love it.
EOP.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I, of course, could not agree with these statements more, but it's always nice to hear it from somebody who's spent so many years and has dedicated so much of their career to K through 12 specifically. So I really appreciate you joining me today and sharing some of that with us, Guy.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, and we hope you'll join us next time as we take you beyond the badge.
Thank you.